May 2003. I was 21, fresh out of college with a business degree and a job at the JGI group that was headquartered in Bengaluru, my hometown. I, however, was sent to Raipur, Chhattisgarh, for my first project wherein I had to establish a private university for the institution. My first task was to secure an ordinance from the Higher Education Department at the Secretariat. Having filled an application earlier, I showed up with an appointment to meet the Undersecretary for Higher Education at his office. On time, trim and tensed, from outside the door to his room, I saw a tall, muscular man sitting on a chair, unyielding and rigid, with his rectangular glasses that were too small sitting on his shrewd big face. Unconcernedly, he was sipping his morning cup of tea. As I prepared to enter and greet him, he signaled for me to stop at his door and shrieked, "Hey kid, stop right there! I have no business with children." His gruff voice matched his physique and his sharp words matched his shrewd face. In Hindi, punctuated with the local slang and interrupted with the sipping of his tea, he asked me who I was and what I wanted. With my knowledge of Hindi that was borrowed from Bollywood and clearly broken, I rummaged for words to express the purpose of my visit. I hadn't expected what was happening. He had labelled me an amateur and was adamant that he had no interest in engaging with me any further and then curtly refused to let me in. I stood there, pierced, not knowing what to do when the peon outside the door made me clear his doorway. 3 years of management training at college had evidently not prepared me for this world. I sat on a bench outside and felt punctured even before the engine of my career had started. I hadn't seen this speed block when I had earlier imagined that I would meet the man, secure his signature on the filled form, and zoom back to Bangalore to meet the chairman of JGI with my trophy of accomplishment. In short, I had come with the ideal vision to make the most of this maiden task that was assigned to me. In a flash, it had gone, and I felt disqualified even before I began. Then I gathered some courage and decided to own up to my failure. I went to a phone booth nearby, and when the chairman answered the phone, he patiently listened to my report. When I had finished, he responded in a calm and yet firm manner. "Chandra, you are twice as qualified as I am, and you say you couldn't crack it? I don't believe that you tried hard enough." I wasn't expecting that either. It was uncomfortable for me to be told that I hadn't tried hard enough. It was even more uncomfortable to hear that I was twice as qualified as my chairman was. I thought I had heard incorrectly and requested for an elaboration. He then, in a matter-of-fact manner, shared that he dropped out of school in the 8th grade, whereas I was a business management graduate. With that basic calculation, he emphasized that I had been in school as a student for twice the number of years than he had been, and thereby I was twice as qualified as he was. He went on to tell me that despite half the years in school, he had successfully established and executed several institutions across the country, while I could not succeed in my first one. He concluded, "I don't think you tried hard enough," and ended the call. I felt a void inside me as the chairman's words continued to ring in my ears. "I don't believe you tried hard enough." I dragged my feet to the bench outside the undersecretary's office and sat there motionless, still not knowing what to do. What I knew, however, was that I was willing to do whatever it took to get the ordinance, and I was not willing to go anywhere without trying harder. 7 hours later, it was the end of the workday. I was still sitting on the bench outside, and suddenly I saw the bespectacled shrewd face of the undersecretary ready to leave by the corridor. I stood up instantly as he passed by. I caught his eye. He didn't stop, but I was resolute, and thus I called out to him, to which he replied that I was wasting my time and his. Determined to try harder, I was in no mood to listen to him. I gathered all the courage I could and owned my responsibility with utmost sincerity. "Sir, I am the only representative of my institution here and the only authority here for any discussion. If you are not willing to talk to me, then it will be a loss of opportunity for the many students who could benefit from another university in this state." My blunt approach was obvious. We gazed at each other as I sold my idea, and he hadn't moved, but we had connected. He heard me out, and then, as an impartial judge, he sat me down on the same bench and said, "Young man, what you did today may be the wrong way to think, but it's the right way to win." He agreed to process the request. 30 days later, he signed the ordinance to set up the private university, and I stuck to the right way ever since. In this book, I share with you lots of real examples and leadership lessons that I experienced in life. Because in the last 14 years of practice, the one thing about leadership that I have realized is that the only real training for leadership is leadership itself. Through this book, I present a holistic, integrated approach for solving personal and professional problems. The strength to the right way of leadership, as I have discovered, comes from living with courage, order, responsibility, and ethics. This book wasn't written in the usual sense of the word. It grew as a child grows. It grew and developed out of my life, out of my experiences over the years. The principles and values of a right-way leader have been tried and tested in various programs organized and executed by me across all age groups and with people from diverse backgrounds. I realized that as much as people needed training in leadership, they needed much more training in the fine art of embracing courage, defining order, owning responsibility, and demonstrating ethics. And because leadership is something that can be taught as it is caught, this book is written for people to cherish the idea of right-way leadership. For example, a second-generation entrepreneur was entrusted with the task of furthering his family business. He lacked the wherewithal to harness his innate potential and unleash his real form of self-expression. For years, he had submerged himself and submitted to smaller ambitions and trivial goals. He was often criticized and condemned by his partners and employees alike. After studying and implementing these principles and values, this entrepreneur sharply altered his philosophy and life. His organization is now inspired with a new loyalty, a new enthusiasm filled with courage and order, a new spirit of responsibility and ethics. Similarly, countless other professionals have sharply increased their sense of fulfillment, adopting to these principles and values. These professionals have been given increased authority, increased responsibility, and increased visibility in their organizations. Needless to mention, increased compensation. One professional reported that his decision-making process is incomplete without the consideration of the principles and values of a right-way leader. On innumerable occasions, spouses participating in the right-way leadership programs have told me that their homes have been much happier since their husbands and wives have started to subscribe to the right-way leadership. People are frequently astonished with the new results they achieve. It feels unreal but isn't. The sole purpose of this book is to illuminate the innate human need for leadership, motivation, and mentoring methods. It also enlightens how to enjoy each other's success while ensuring your personal progress and prosperity. Talk to yourself once in a day, otherwise you may miss meeting an excellent person in the world, said Swami Vivekananda. After you finish reading the first 2 chapters of this book, if you are not able to talk to yourself and feel better equipped to face life situations, then I suggest for you to stop reading the book, for it will be worthless. It is time to be the type of leader you want to meet, and this book is a reflection.